Hi, everyone. I'm Gold Derby News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I'm here today with Bill Pullman, who stars as convicted murderer Alex Murdaugh in the Lifetime two-part ripped from the headlines docudrama Murdaugh Murders, the movie. Bill, you've enjoyed an amazing career of nearly 4 decades, but I'm not sure you ever had a role like the one in Murdaugh Murders, where the real-life case and the events surrounding it seemed to change almost daily as you were shooting the movie.
Yeah, yeah, there was had been the verdict came out in March and we were shooting in by May. So and I, it was late to the game. They had been cramming it together and putting it together and making sure they could get the rights to as many of the characters possible. And then we had to pull the trigger and get going.
And didn't things keep changing in the case as you were even in progress with the production?
Uh, there was definitely there were appeals that were instantly put into play, and the developments on that was all interesting. I think there was, maybe some of the other characters there was waiting to see if there was going to be any indictments against other people that were involved with other aspects of the story, the sons and whatnot, but nothing really big broke in the 6 weeks we were shooting, or 5 weeks.
What made you want to play such a complex and in the end evil sociopath like Murdaugh? You honestly wouldn't have been the first actor, Bill, that I'd have thought of for this role. Your brand seems to be much more kind of all American and decent in general, but maybe that's why you did want
Yeah, I think maybe I've just been ignorant that because I don't see myself as having a brand, and yet everybody else says, "Oh, you do," and or many people do, and so I think I am available for human behavior of the extremity, and we all, that's the interface. You kind of move through a membrane of like morality and goodness and evil. It's nice to live on the other side every once in a while. Not that I'm saying you've ever tried it, Ray, but I
Oh,
think that,
I live it every day.
yeah,
No, no. Um,
it's something. And then you get to be an addict, which, in the best kind, it's not you. I don't take needles. I just got to drink water and take some pills, and then it gives you that ability to be, you live in that place, which he lived in, which was kind of riding the high, keeping it up above the turbulence, making sure that it didn't dip down into it. And that's good. So there's a lot of advantages to playing these kind of characters.
so did you go full method and decide to actually become an addict to play an addict?
Yeah, that you know, I did have a fondness for I don't drink enough water on the set, and it really allowed me to get my daily potion of liquids. So I did that.
Um, but had you heard a lot about Murdaugh before you took the role? I mean, were you fully versed in the case?
No, I didn't have any clue. I don't know where I go, in in terms of the news, because I feel like I'm reading all the friggin' time, but I am not going for a lot of clickbait, or I try to keep on task. But when I first offered it, and they said, "This is a guy who murdered his wife and son," as if I would know, and I didn't. So then I had to kind of look into it, and I had to talk to some people. And the common thing I have a lot of friends in Western New York State and in Montana and things, and oh, that guy, I hate that guy. He's a liar. I could always tell he was lying. I was, what is this? And so then I looked at the the depth of stuff that's available on YouTube and everything like that, and I realized, oh, he's there's something about this case that gets people's attention. This is compelling on all across the stratas, from people that are, working class people, all the way up to, brainiacs they were mesmerized by it. And I kept seeing it all the way through it and making it. I was aware of that. I'm still aware that people are interested in it. You know, the very interesting thing with the New Yorker magazine, the Brainiac thing has the newyorker.com at the end of the year. You know, that's the one where they can actually tell who's reading, how many people are reading their articles. And the editor of that at the end of the year was talking about what a year for news last year was. It had all these things go on. It had Roe v. Wade stuff and Gaza and Ukraine and all that. And then what was the most read article
It was
in New York?
about Murdaugh, really?
Murda.
Wow.
And that's from that audience, you know. So there's something in there that if some of it was the, you know, it's just like pile on of revelations that couldn't be matched, you know. But some of it, I think, was the fact that they had, you know, it was kind of difficult to detect for that community anyway. Nobody had brought any, you know, nobody had brought anything against him. Wasn't anything until it all erupted and the whole house of cards came down.
That's how it often happens with these guys. You know, they think they're untouchable. They think they're Teflon, and then boom, something tips over, and the house goes flat. Did you so you spent a lot of time kind of poring over video of Murdaugh, maybe be able to get the timing and behavioral peculiarities right and all that?
Yeah, you know, I think I mean, when you have that kind of, it's not every state that allows video, you know, they're actually
In the
showing it
courtroom. Yeah.
in the courtroom, and you get to see all the characters of a person's life. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything more interesting. And sometimes, you know, like this is a wealth of information, but at the same time, it's like a wealth of a lot of information. And you got it, you know, it's like heavy data coming at you. And, you know, you can keep absorbing data, but at a certain point, it has to organize itself in in yourself as if you're going to portray somebody like that. And it was all like too much candy to go back and, oh, so let me see the housekeeper again. I wanted to, you know, let me see that pictures of, let's see, hear the 911 call again, you know. And so yeah, eventually I kind of organized it, but it had to happen fast because you know, we started shooting pretty quick after I said yes, we're going to do it.
Right. Then suddenly you're off to the races. I think I saw you quoted though, Bill, as saying that you didn't want to take the role if the producers had expected you to be a mimic. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, that was got very aware that of the obsession, and people were talking about certain moments in the Netflix documentary series, and you know, when he said this, he turned this way, and all I could see is myself in some kind of bad, you know, nightmare of having producers go, no, when you say that, you have to turn left, you know, you have to look left or something like that, you know. And there's just like, I just knew that we're going to have to, I had to get some elbow room and just say, look, I'm not doing that. If you want that, fine, go get somebody to do that. But and Greg Beeman, the director, and Stacy Mendelberg were very, very supportive of that. And it did rear its head once or twice. And fortunately, I stinked up the place enough to everybody, he didn't like it when you say that.
But it was still good. I imagine that the script's dialogue hewed so closely that actual trial transcripts. I mean, that gives a much more edge of realism, I would think.
Yeah, it's really, really good. There was some sentences that Murdoch used in the courtroom, you know, when he described, you know, you know, talking about uh, different things, and you realize he, in the middle of a sentence, he'll change, even, you know, go from that dog he to then, and then they turned and they all come at me, and you know, just that's in the script, and you realize when you see it printed, it makes less sense, but when it's spoken, it's kind of like now with politicians, you know, and there's particular politicians that don't finish their sentences now, and they used to fix them, you know, they used to, journalists would say, oh, he they changed it, but then they don't anymore. I know with Trump, they're actually doing the actual speech now, and you can read what's actually said, and it's so much more revealing. It's great to be able to read that stuff and not just hear it.
Hmm. Was it at all weird though, be able to be playing a man who you knew would ultimately be watching how you portrayed him? I'm imagining Murdaugh had to himself had to have had an opportunity to watch the movie even from behind bars, wouldn't you think?
Yes, yes, I can imagine that. But uh,
He'd be happy that as good looking a man as you was playing.
well, let's see. I thought I'd say I am a little bit older than he, and I thought he would get a little buffer by saying, "Nah, he's too old to play me." But I think there is also the need to. He is compelled to tell a story that stick to the story that he knows what happens and other people just don't know. So he's probably not very interested in the movie in that way, in terms of publicly saying anything about it.
What do you think it was about the case that so fascinated people and grew to become this tabloid and social media phenomenon? I mean, the fact that the perpetrator enjoyed such a celebrated and privileged life. I mean, it's, I think, the same reason people like watching Dallas and, and Knots Landing and stuff like that, to watch, the wealthy sort of get their butt handed to them, so to speak. I mean, do you think that's part of what it was?
Yeah, I guess that that the fact that it was so perfectly hidden, in some ways, that there's people want to watch it because they say, I want to be able to detect the perfectly hidden ones, the ones that are out there, the wolves that are moving amongst the sheep and doing, and no one's realizing that they're losing sheep. Those people, they're out there, and you're going to learn something about it. And I think also, the fact that it can be quite unnerving, to have people close to you, some of the dearest people that are in your life, that define themselves as my brother, or he's my father, or he's my husband, and then realize there was a whole chapter that they don't know. We live with a lot of delusion, I think, in order to live, in order to keep above the fray. We have certain trust things that get built in just so we don't live in anxiety and all of that. And this kind of story, you pull back the curtain a little bit.
That's very interestingly put, and you're right. I mean, this guy hid so much. My God, he just had everything that underneath, and then I guess people like this are deluded enough to think they're going to get away with it forever, and no one's ever going to discover their horrible reality.
Yeah. There's no little glitch where am I going to lie or am I going to tell the truth? It's just hardwired to go right for, in lack of any kind of questioning. You accept what I'm saying. I'm speaking the truth. And I think that's sometimes probably intoxicating. And I think also, that he did offer to take care of people quite a bit. And that can be on a one-to-one basis. If somebody says, hey, you want to come out here? I want to show you this new gun. You'll have a good time. I like to share these things I have. I like to help you get some money for what happened to you. That I always look at those injury lawyers, and they have great billboards. And the one I like now that I'm seeing is whohurtyou.com. Because you gotta go, somebody hurt you.
Did the bad person hurt you? Exactly.
Yeah. And I can help that. I feel your injury, and I want to help you. and it's so intoxicating. It's such a great thing to have that burden lifted off. There's somebody in there in the fight with you, and that I understand. So, and then also he was kind of, he could flip and flop. So even, there was enough accounts that you go look even before the trial, where you got some people like they know him as, he could be like Mount Vesuvius, and but also been very generous and given everybody lots of things and bonuses and Christmas presents, and he paid attention to that, how people really responded to that.
And people loved him. I mean, it was sort of like the OJ murders, really, of the Deep South. People loved him, and then that was part of what was so intoxicating about the cases. He was so beloved and then so hated. I mean, there was nothing in between.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part of the OJ case. There was a lot of people that were,
Oh, OJ was just this beloved, Teflon figure himself, until he killed two people, and it all came crashing down. Although he, to some degree, got away with it, whereas Murdaugh did not.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But let's switch gears for a second, Bill, before we wrap here. What's it like to watch your son Lewis have so much success, carving out an acting career of his own, now with lessons in chemistry, following in dad's footsteps?
Yes, yes. Well, particularly right now, there's just happened to be this campaign for a little while anyway. We're both in this pool together, and there was a week and a half or 2 weeks when you could drive down a street in LA and see a billboard for Murdaugh Murders and a billboard for Lessons in Chemistry, and there I am and there he is. And we took a lot of pictures of that and said maybe this won't ever happen again, but it's happening now. And I thought the narrative of what happened, how that came together, that Lessons in Chemistry and the part, and that guy Lee Eisenberg, helping to get everybody saying, hey, this is good, we got to keep expanding this part while we're shooting it. That's so rare, so it's a good story to tell. And he's coming to a certain part of his life where he can really acknowledge like how much he appreciated what Bree did, just as she's a producer on, but they spent so much time building this thing, and it doesn't often happen that it gets the kind of results that they got, but they were able to pull off an incredible amount kind of intimacy.
For sure.
Does that sound proud? I don't know.
Hey,
you must be proud. And I say, I don't know what that proud is. I don't just like feel, it sounds like something wrong. Like I'm egotism or something, but
no, you're supposed to brag. That's what you're supposed to brag about. People get on you if you're bragging about your own accomplishments, but not about your kids' accomplishments. That's a whole different area. You're totally allowed to brag.
Well, I suppose I can go on too long. I wouldn't blame people to just say enough of that,
No, in fact, I'm going to ask you another question about it.
Okay.
Has Lewis ever asked Dad for advice on how to, maybe handle the performance anxiety or the pressure?
He was always, had his own kind of sly way of looking out of the corner of his eye and, saying, I'm going to keep an eye on you. I was doing a play in LA at Geffen Theater, and he was already in college, I think, by that time. And he said, came back on a vacation, and while we were doing it, and he came to see. I said, well, Lewis, you might want to see this play. It's got good actors. Look, it's got Ed Harris and Amy Madigan and all these people, and but I was thinking maybe you want to watch what I'm doing in this thing, playing a pedophile bartender, come on down and see it. And he came to the matinee, and then afterwards I said, well, that's great. It's so good you came and everything. I'm going to have to get ready for the night show. And he goes, well, I'm going to the night show too.
Wow. Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I knew he's interested.
Clearly. Yeah. He was studying you.
Studying me, studying Ed, studying all of them, getting a good thing. Yeah. Now he's in this movie with Ed. they're doing the movie called Riff Raff that's going to be out next year. So big circles there.
Well, it's great. You know, he couldn't do better than to follow in your footsteps. It's, you know, I think, you know, you've given him a great example to follow. So I think we're going to leave things there. You can see Murdaugh Murders, the movie, streaming over LMN, Prime Video, and elsewhere. Bill Pullman, best of luck to you this Emmy season, and thanks for joining us today at Gold Derby.
Thanks, Frank. Great to talk to you.
You too.